So I'm Carly Bouwman, and I'm with Haydee, Windey, and we are the co-founders of Limitless Arising. And what are we going to discuss today, Haydee?
Okay, today we are going to discuss what to do with everything that is happening to us, all around us, on a personal and on a global level, right? Level. So, big topic.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now, for sure. Personally, in my personal life, and seeing everything that's happening around us in humanity, I can't say I've ever experienced this much contrast in my existence before in so many different ways. So I imagine I'm not the only one.
Yeah. You're not, and you chose a perfect word, contrast. Mm-hmm. It's we are so polarized, and I have family living in South America, family living like me here in North America. I'm hearing people from Europe too, and it doesn't matter the geographical location. We are all confused, anxious, lost many times. And actually, we are going to confess. Last week, we were talking with Carly for over an hour and a half, and trying to fix what is going on, what solutions we can offer, right? Because Carly says, oh, this would be a great topic for our current times, right? To share with people. And I say, yeah, it will. So we were thinking about ways to fix the system. We started from there, and then we realized that we cannot do that.
Yeah.
There is no way that we can fix the system.
Yeah, not in the short term anyways. I think a lot of people right now are fighting and protesting and getting together in large groups to try to make change. But we can't really make change unless we start with ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. That is what we ended up talking about, right? That we have to break down this in smaller pieces. And actually, we arrived to the place where we need to start anyway, which is ourselves. If we do not begin within ourselves, the violence that we are seeing, the aggression, all the chaos is not going to stop. And if there is something that we can control, is that we can control how we react to this. Not only individually, I think that many people figure out already, we are in 2021, almost starting 2022. So a lot of people have started already to work on themselves. But now is what to do next. How we move through this collective fear and start to build up all together, or as many people as would like to be in this togetherness of rebuilding, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest part of the problems that we're having right now as humans is that we're pointing the finger at each other, and we're dividing ourselves from each other, and we're blaming other people for, creating things that we don't want to happen in situations that we don't want to see. And there's things going on that we don't agree with and we don't believe in. And our only way of controlling that is to blame others, or to unite with others that only share the same beliefs as us, and turn our backs on the people that don't. And that's how we're falling apart. That's a huge mistake. And I think just the chaos that's happening is a reflection of our own consciousness and how we choose our thoughts and our perspective in any given moment. And it's just a reflection on how we've kind of lost our way as humans and expecting the external world to provide us with the experience that we want, when it really comes from within us. We create it ourselves. We are the creators of our experience. So
exactly.
yeah.
And another thing which is happening with this divisions that we are having is that some people say go for it, some people say don't go for it, and they are antagonizing, they are fighting each other, and we are not getting anywhere. The more division, the more isolation. And what happens also is the less sense of self. Our identity is shrinking because it is fear. That aggression, that anxiety, that feeling of being lost is fear. Fear has many different shades and many different names. So our proposal is, it doesn't matter if you come from this side or from this side. It doesn't really matter, because I know people from both sides, and I came to cohabitate with them peacefully, respecting their opinions on the current events, what to do, what not to do. Once we decide what to do, either towards one side or the other, well, then now we have to merge, we have to get together to build up a new reality, because the reality that it's being presented in front of us is the reality of division. That's why it is chaos. And that is our proposal today. How to get together, right? How to walk through this fear and be able to work together to start to rebuild.
Yeah. And I think it's all to do with relationships, and we've all heard that the key to a good relationship is communication. So when we're just sitting there blaming other people and pointing our finger, but we're not asking questions, and we're not asking people why they think the way that they do, we're just telling them that we're wrong because they don't think the way that we do. We're creating the problem. We are the problem when we're doing that. So I think, the first thing we can do with anyone in our lives is to take the time and sit down and ask them questions, and open-heartedly listen to each other without interrupting or without judging, and just listen to understand instead of listen to justify our own opinions or create an argument for ourselves. And I think I'm just rereading a really good book called The Art of Communicating. And that describes it perfectly. Like our first skill is to listen to ourselves and to get out of our monkey mind that chatters and that runs off with chaos constantly, which disconnects our mind from our body. And we're always off thinking about the future or the past, and we're not living in the present moment. And, we're creating separation for ourselves that way. So if we can take the time to slow down and, focus on your breathing, or, there's many different techniques of just being in the moment and connecting back with yourself, and practice getting yourself in a peaceful place instead of a chaotic place. Like, that's the place to start. And then transferring that to the people that we communicate with, and come from a place where you're connected to yourself, and your mind isn't going crazy, and you're not full of judgments or, thinking about the future or the past. You can just sit with an open heart and an open mind and listen. And that's just the beginning of solving our problems together and connecting with each other in a positive and loving way.
It is. And everything that you are saying is right. That's the way to go. The thing is to have first that self-recognition of what is happening within us, because we also are part of this collective fear, where we want to believe it or not, we are. I am quite collected some days, and some days I am quite disconnected.
Yeah.
And everything gets magnified. And that is our proposal, what to do, right? How to do it. And we have a wonderful workshop that we have created that actually help people to come to that place of stillness and awareness. But we want to share what we have discovered, what we are practicing, because it works for us. Carly and I are human beings like anybody else living on this planet today, 2021, almost 2022. And we go through all the same motions that everybody does. Now, the thing is, how can we reach happiness? And maybe happiness is a too big word, even for a mundane day, like life was 2 years ago. It was a too big of a concept, and today is even bigger, I think. So maybe to think in terms of peace, how to reach to that point of peace, so we can make decisions from there, from a self which is more expanded and is not so shrunk and so scared that it is either attacking, controlling, right? Or getting depressed, or it would be getting numb, anxious, ashamed. And because from that place, we know what happens. We are already seeing this every day. And I agree with you. We need to have those conversations with others and also with ourselves. So we can always check in and say, okay, what is happening here? What is my belief underlying this emotion? And just by doing that, we're going to be dispelling that effect. And it's not going to be easy, like we know it's going to take time. Yeah. But we both know that it is achievable, it is possible. And that's why we are here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like exercising or, practicing playing an instrument or any skill. It's a habit. And the more we practice listening and awareness and communication, the easier life gets, for sure, and way more peaceful. Absolutely. Happiness can be equated to all kinds of things, but I don't know that we're here to experience happiness 24/7. I think growth comes from challenges. So the ability to walk through challenges, but come from a peaceful place of awareness and understanding, that's a superpower as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And I think I heard some people say, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of death. I'm not scared of anything. And actually, I would like to ask if that is really true, because maybe I am a person who is not afraid of death myself. So I can see that openly and freely. But what about afraid of loss? Yes, I am afraid of loss. Yeah. I am afraid of losing the people I love, or losing the way we are living, the peace that we used to have here in this city, in this country. And so that sense of loss is something that everybody can relate to. Yeah. And there is where it becomes tricky, right? There is when Carly before was saying, okay, what to do to get to that moment of peace is to be present here now. Now, because like you were saying, Carly, we either go to the future, that means anxiety. So we think about the future, we believe that the future is going to get worse. We get into this anxiety. Yeah. And we go to the past, we say, oh, I wish I had that life. I wish we were the way we were. And depression, sadness comes. Yeah. or
Or we focus on why things went wrong and who made them wrong for us, and we go into a place of blame as well, thinking
exactly
about the past,
yeah
which just perpetuates it.
yeah it could be either shame, what's
Mhm.
wrong with you, why
Yeah.
people are isolating me, I must be doing something wrong, right? That would be shame. Or
Yeah.
guilt, right?
Yeah.
Because you are guilty about doing or not doing something. And the blaming and the judging is, again, is fear, is wanting to control.
Yeah.
When we get in that small shrunk self, we are going to have one of those unwholesome emotions. I mean, they are welcome because those are the emotions. We are not trying to suppress any emotion here.
Mm.
On the contrary, all our workshop is, and our talks are about facing those emotions and deciding how we're going to establish a relationship, because they are going to be there for the rest of our lifetime here on earth. So how we can co-live together with that fear and with those emotions and with those beliefs. And we know that there are things that we could do. There are strategies that we can do. And yeah, but I think the understanding of what fear is in this context, what it means to put me in that place of feeling hopeless or worthless. It is a very defeated place to be, because from there we cannot build up anything. Yeah. So the idea is to reprogram our beliefs and reprogram our thoughts. And this is everyday work. With little, you mentioned nature, we can say meditation, we can say art therapy, we can say journaling. There are so many ways that we can propose. Eventually, we will come up with a list of ideas and proposals. I know a couple of women who, what they are finding this, and you, Carly, you can talk about that later too. You have a beautiful example about that connection with nature. So what they are these two friends of mine, what they are doing is they go for walks every day and they take a picture of something that really touches their heart. It could be something in nature, it could be a tree, it could be a bird, and those moments bring them peace and bring them that connection with the now. And so what I was suggesting the other day is for them to take a look at the picture when they are at home. Maybe they are in a moment that they are not feeling peaceful. By making that anchor, they are going to feel the same feelings. It's like our brains, our chemistry brings back those memories, those feelings, and those feelings get into us, and we breathe, we stay there, and it could be 5 seconds, 10, 15, not even a minute. And so we don't need to meditate for half an hour. That would be connecting with those feelings of peace and bringing that to my body right now, that I might not be in that place, right? Mm-hmm. Share your experience in nature. I like how you meditate.
Yeah, well, I love being out in nature and trail walking and trail running. And for me, just sitting and meditating was difficult for me because I didn't know how to calm my mind down. I felt like I had a lot of energy in my body, and not moving. All of the energy in my body was fueling my brain and fueling all these thoughts that I had difficulty stopping. So I discovered that, when I was trail running, after a lot of practice and trying different things and figuring out what works for me, I figured out that just a way to quiet my mind while I started running, and my run was my meditation, basically. I would just focus on the beauty of what was around me and focused on the things that I enjoyed around me. And that distracted my thoughts, first of all, from going off on their own tangents and just, negative habits that we all have in our minds. And If that really didn't get me into a calm place, then I would take it to the next step. And instead of thinking thoughts of like, naming the things around me or recognizing the things around me, I would just hold a tone in my head. And that idea popped into my head one day when I was running, just as a distraction from the thoughts, was to try and just hold a sound for as long as I could and not singing it out loud, which you could do if you wanted to. But as I'm running in the park around people, I don't want to be singing a big long tone and looking like a crazy person. So I just found the tone, and it just popped into my head as a tone. Oh, and I laughed when I heard it in my mind because it sounded like angels singing, but that was the first thing that popped into my mind, was that tone. So I practiced holding that in my mind as I was running and walking. And as soon as I was distracted from my own thoughts and holding that tone and not thinking, and I just felt more connected to myself and my own body and my surroundings, then I would get into a place of true meditation where I would have these amazing ideas or solutions to problems, or just epiphanies that would basically, I just felt like they were being downloaded. It was coming from myself, but it was just such amazing feelings of clarity and solutions that would come to me from being in that state and just being open-hearted and not being stuck in the past or the future, and just being in a present state of receiving. And that's like true communication with yourself, I believe, is getting to that point. So we can all find different ways of doing that and getting there. But for me, that worked really well.
Yeah, excellent. That's a great example. And there are, in creating your Limitless Self workshop, again, we are proposing strategies, some tools, and there are different ways to bring ourselves to this center, to this moment of peace. What I would like to talk, because you're giving excellent examples. So maybe I could talk a little bit about what happens inside, right? And how to get to that moment of peace inside too. Because what happens when you get used to doing this by yourself, then when you go to nature, you can have that incredible response that you had. Because Carly, what happened to you, maybe Carly, you don't meditate like I do meditate, sitting down, but you are doing art. Yeah. Working with your hands and your body and your emotions, your creativity. You are meditating, creating your art. Absolutely. So it's what you do, right? And sometimes I don't sit down, I write. And that's how I meditate, doing journaling, right? Or creative writing or spontaneous writing. Those are different forms of meditating too. So remember that before I talk about the shrunk self, that small self, when we are in that mindset, surrounded by those emotions and believing that there is no solution, the world is against us, and we cannot do anything, or we hate the world, because it could be either emotion, contrasting and harmful to us. When we are there, we don't have that sense that we belong to a bigger consciousness, which at the end of the day is what is going to help us not to feel so lost and so alone. Because one day when I was telling you I don't fear death, I truly don't fear, because when I reach my moments and I connect with greater consciousness, I can feel that expansion of love and beauty and that place of creativity and life and unbelievable energy. And I know this doesn't happen inside my body only. I may feel that, but it is when I am able to connect with that bigger sense. So I'm going to give an example. I think this comes from It's a Buddhist tale, or I'm not sure. I heard that, and I know it comes from that source. And it says, okay, imagine that a grain of, you put some pinch of salt into a glass, and you're going to taste the salt, right? So imagine that that pinch of salt is fear, is your fear. You put it in a glass, you taste it, yeah, it is there. However, if you put that pinch of salt in the ocean and you are in the water, you are in that expansive ocean, you're not going to feel that because you belong to that vastness, to that bigger picture. And that is what we are trying to do. We are trying to move from that place of loneliness and worthlessness sometimes to a place of magnificent creation. And it doesn't have to have even the name of God, but if you believe in God, of course, God, but greater consciousness, let's call it. And once you're there, you're at peace, because you know that is home. Actually, we talk about home on many other different conversations, right? And that's the idea. So later I'm going to give 2 strategies, but Carly, if you want to add something or say something.
Is there a specific example of how you would deal with that fear?
Yes.
That feeling of anxiety?
Yes, to bring you to that, Princess. Of course, there are, and I am adding what we are doing. Carly is giving examples of strategies that you could do going out, connecting with the world. And I'm giving examples about how to handle that inside in our inner being first or later. It's a combination of things because we are going to be fluctuating.
Yeah.
So the first would be to acknowledge the feelings and to say, okay, right now I am feeling anxious, nervous, frustrated, angry, whatever it is that you are feeling. That would be the first, that awareness on the feelings and how that feelings manifests or is felt in your body. Some people feel it on the chest, some people on the stomach and neck, shoulders, they are different. So that connection start to move the wheel towards a more functioning state. And the second thing would be to allow that to happen. So we are feeling that emotion, we are not trying to suppress it. And we are like, say, we are identifying where it is happening. And then we let it go. We just immerse ourselves visually or by sensing, by feeling that sense of a vast ocean. So we merge into the ocean, we let it go, and we trust. Trust is another big component. So this is very simple. Is the intention of coming to presence, acknowledging, allowing to happen, let it go. And I promise you that by practicing those steps, and we have more to share in our workshop, but those are 3 basic things. And by doing that, you are going to feel in that love actually start to happen, because you start to be transported to this vastness, and there is no other feeling than love and acceptance, and that is something that happens gradually with practice. It's like the walking in nature, right? And what you were saying, I noticed that my mind was too busy, so I started to chant or to repeat a sound, and that sound brought me to. So you are looking for, right, different strategies too. And those strategies are things that you can do outside, but when you are inside, before you go to sleep, or if you're at work, or if you're sitting, or before starting to do something, you feel too restless, okay, bring that intention, connect with that heart of yours, and let it go. That would be a way to go through fear, and not to let fear control. our actions, because it's controlling our thoughts and our actions too.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any suggestions if, say, somebody's at work or they're out in public or they're in a situation where they can't really go through challenging emotions in their own time, how someone would kind of deal with negative or difficult emotions in a situation where they need to deal with other
Good
people?
question. Yeah, you cannot do all that. For me, the best way to do it, and I usually share that with my students too, it is breathing. It is breath. So it could be a square 4 breathing, which is you breathe in 4, for example, you pause 4, you exhale 4 times, and then you pause 4 times. And it's not a number I say is square 4, so you remember the technique, but it could be 5 and pausing 2 and exhaling in 8. The slower the exhalation, the more relaxation you're going to feel. And that is something that you can do even if somebody is confronting you or saying something to you. You say, okay, I have control of my breath. And you think about that. The person is talking and you say, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause, right? And it doesn't even have to be exhaling through the mouth. It could be through the nose. You might be driving and you are in a situation where you have to slow down because there is too much traffic. You're getting late. Your appointment, what you can do, breathe. That would be the most immediate thing, and it's very somatic because it connects with your body, with your reflexes. So and you're right, you don't have in that at that moment, you don't have any. And sometimes we have an immediate reaction, right? We get upset, something happens, something says something to that. Talk about road rage when you're driving in heavy traffic, and what do? Well, I love it. Finally, I found when I realized that actually true freedom decides in the fact that you can choose your thoughts. So every time that I am in a position I can choose my thoughts, I am in complete freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I find really instead of reacting to a situation, I've really learned to, if I start to feel upset or angry or reactive in a negative way in any situation, I've practiced this for a long time, but I'm really aware now of catching myself doing that and stopping, and especially when it involves another person, and really just trying to understand where the other person's coming from. So if you're in traffic and someone cuts you off and you just feel the immediate reaction to get angry about it, or, point the finger at them and say they're bad, just to remind yourself to come from a place of understanding, and that you don't know what someone else is going through, or, they might have an emergency, or maybe they just weren't paying attention, like we've all done before. And being angry about something that you have no control over, or that you don't know anything about, is, it's only going to create harm for yourself. And then that's going to flow into other people. But just stopping when you're about to react and having some awareness of the whole situation and how you're feeling and how you're about to react, and make a decision from that point, is also a huge benefit. So it's a way to create solution instead of creating problems.
Exactly. And the way that when I can do that is usually when I work on myself, when I am in solitude, not in the middle of that situation. But if I can, when I work at night or in the mornings, and I put some concentrated effort to do that, then I am less reactive when I am outside. So I'm not going to jump into conclusions right away. Oh, this person, blah, 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 blah. No, I am saying what you were saying. Well, who knows where that person is come from? I don't know what happened to that person. I was there before. Maybe I made the same mistake and now I am right. So it's again, it's that full circle of doing that work, seeing yourself with compassion, because every time we have to face our thoughts, our fears, our beliefs. Sometimes I get frustrated about that too, because I say, I know that already. How many times I have to do this? Blah, 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 blah. And then I laugh. I say, okay, well, I have two choices. I can keep blaming myself, or I can just go through this. I know how to transit this. So let's go through this. And then when I can do that, and I remember to do that daily, I am less reactive to other people.
Yeah.
So yes, totally. You can see people with more understanding, really.
Yeah, when we practice compassion and understanding and kindness and love towards ourselves, we're practicing that, which is going to transfer towards other people as well. So
exactly,
and we have to start with ourselves.
Totally. And you know what? To the planet too.
Yeah.
Because that aggression that we have to the planet, everything which is going on today, that we know it has been produced by us, it's human made chaos on Mother Earth. Those decisions that we do or that we don't make, right? We make decisions to protect the planet, or we make the decisions to take more out of the planet, right? The drilling and the pillage of natural resources, all those decisions come from fear too, from a mind which is not able to stay still. So we become, for example, greedy, right? So what would be the underlying thought? Oh, there is not enough. I need more. I need more of this. We need more oil. We need more whatever resource we are exhausting, right? So it goes when we want to say, what can we do to save the planet? Well, this is a very important thing to do, to remember that we need to begin from ourselves. Because by forgiving ourselves for whatever we might be doing, for becoming very small sometimes, from that place, we are going to make better choices for Mother Earth too. And we're going to see Mother Earth as what it is, right? It is our home here on Earth. And we have to take care of that. So we truly, we are truly on a mission. And we are not the only ones. Many people like us agree with this, and they want to rebuild from a different place. So it's not about replicating or trying to bring back the system or the life that we had before, because that took us to this. So we need to make something different. And in that, with that in mind, is why we are doing what we are doing. And then we have our day jobs, our day lives, but we have the dream of bringing all of us together to a place where we can dream the dream together and accomplish that dream.
I think if we all just try to come from a peaceful and loving place, no matter what we're doing, we can't go wrong. You know, if we just stop and change from blame and anger and fear to how can I help? How can I care for you? How can I understand you? How can we help each other? That's just going to make all the changes that we need right now.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I agree. Would you like me to close with a quote?
Yeah.
Or would you like? Yes, there is a quote, it's my mantra. It has been for many years now, and it is from Viktor Frankl. So he says, in between the stimulus and the response, so stimulus is what happens to us, what we get. Response is what we do, right? A does something to us and we respond. In between those two things, stimulus and response, there is a place. And in that place, in that space, is where your power and your freedom lies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read it, okay? In between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. And in that space is your power and your freedom. And that is what we are trying to convey here, that by coming to that place of togetherness within ourselves, we are actually going to achieve that as a community and as a global family too.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Haydee.
Thank you, Kali, for being my co-creator.